Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another podcast for that ass. Today we're going to be doing a 7-round mock draft to see what the Chiefs might do here at the end of April. But before we get started, I just want to say thanks for watching All Chiefed Up. Please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's get this thing going. We're going to do a 7-round mock draft on PFF.com. Going to select the Chiefs. We're going to have the speed up. I'm not going to do any trades today. There's a lot of trade scenarios. They're so hard to guess. So we're just going to play it out and take the picks that we have available. We're going to use the Publix board. Don't really care about PFFs. Care for positional value. We'll keep about halfway. Draft needs down just a little bit, and randomness, just a touch of randomness, because there's always a little bit of randomness in the draft. Round 1 coming up. We got pick 32. It looks like jer'zhan Newton, or Johnny Newton, is still available. He is ranked 8th in the entire class. Average draft position of 22.4. That is a killer pick. Absolutely killer. If there's that kind of value at the end of the first round, I think the Chiefs have to take that. It's a no-brainer. Just off the value. I mean, he's worth way higher of a pick than 32. He would be an absolute wrecking ball inside there with Chris Jones. If you have not watched Johnny Newton's tape, please just go over after this video, type in Johnny Newton highlights or jer'zhan Newton highlights. You'll want to watch him. He's a complete game disruptor. He's fun to watch. He would definitely be a force inside on that defensive line, and we can always use some depth there. So we're going to go ahead and take that with the first pick without even thinking about it. It's just too good a value to pass up. Second round, looks like we have Marshawn Nealon, an edge rusher that the Chiefs have actually interviewed. And then we have Chris Jenkins, another defensive tackle from Michigan. He would be a great pick here, but we already took Johnny Newton in the first round, so we can kind of stray away from that just a little bit. Now the edge pick is intriguing. We know that we have some depth to fill there. We have some questions at edge. Mainly, is Charles Omenihu going to play hardly at all next year? Probably not. He's going to be out for quite a while recovering from that injury. Is he still going to be on the team? Because the Chiefs could definitely cut him and save some money. So that's an option that still could come up. But other than that, obviously we have George Karlaftis, but then we have Felix Anudike-Uzomah, our first-round draft pick from last year. The jury's still out on Felix. We didn't get to see a whole lot of him, but we do know coming out of college he was a very polished pass rusher. He was very good, and I thought he could do some things in the NFL. Is it going to be a slower development? I think so. But we've yet to see what he can do, so it's still a little bit of a risk there. And then if you look behind him, we did sign back Mike Dana, which we know is a solid player. And then you have B.J. Thompson that we took in the 5th round, I believe, the draft last year, and he's not got to see much of the field either, so a little bit of a project there. They could look to edge to help get a little bit of depth there, especially if they're considering letting Charles Omenihu go. There's an intriguing receiver right here, Jalen McMillan at Washington. A lot of people are hot on the Chiefs taking Jalen McMillan. And if you scroll down just a little bit more, Braylon Trice, another edge rusher from Washington. He's a really good one. And then we have the halfback, Jalen Wright. So this guy is an absolute monster. I love him. I think he'd be great in the Chiefs offense. We definitely need some depth at running back if you're looking to add some there. I mean, we did sign back Clyde, but then you're just kind of looking at Pirine and Prince, a little PP on the PP, if you will. So, I mean, they could definitely look that way. I doubt they would in the second round. So I'm probably going to pass on that. Now, if he was around in the third round, it's too good a value to pass up. If we keep on going, Devondre Sweat's there. He's dropped a little bit since his fiasco with the DWI. Devontae Walker is an intriguing pick at wide receiver as well. He tested off the charts and everything, but people still a little skeptical when it comes to him. Javon Baker, this is another name that you'll see the Chiefs Kingdom throw around a little bit. Javon Baker's an intriguing pick. I wouldn't like him at all in the second round. To me, he's got too many drop problems, but eventually he could be a good receiving piece. I'm not saying that he would be bad, but there are some question marks there. And then, of course, we can keep scrolling down just a little bit. You're looking at Malachi Corley, still available, Bucky Irving. These are all names that have been linked to the Chiefs by draft analysts and things. You got Christian Mahogany, the guard from Boston College, Mason McCormick, the guard from South Dakota State. There are a lot of good names on the board right now. But if you think about it, the Chiefs take a defensive tackle in the first round off of pure value. So that means there's still the big elephant in the room of wide receiver. And there's also the tackle thing that you think they'll want to try to take care of in this draft. So let's take a look at just who's available as far as tackles go. So that's what we'll do first. And see, we got Blake Fisher from Notre Dame. You got Dominic Pooney from Kansas, who probably will end up being a guard. Matt Gonsalves from Pittsburgh. There's just not a whole lot left. And this shows you that in this draft, that the good tackles are going to go quick. They're going to go early. And there's not a whole lot of options for you after probably mid-second round. It starts really tailing off. So it looks like we might have missed our opportunity to get like a solid tackle. So we might just go ahead and wait because, I mean, there's guys down here like Walter Rouse from Oklahoma. Of course, the Chiefs love Oklahoma offensive linemen. So we could wait a little bit and see if we can't get our hands on him later. So let's go take a look at the wide receivers. And that's probably what the Chiefs are going to be looking at in the second round, right? They've done it for the last 2 years. They've done it previously with McCole Hardman. I think that could definitely be the trend that sticks. They could take a second round wide receiver, just depending on how things fall in the first. But with what we have available here, we can scroll down just a little bit. There's a lot of names here that everybody's linked to the Chiefs, a lot of them. Personally, there's none of these that really jump off the page to me. There's not. I'm just going to say that. Like, I would not be super excited about any of these guys. I do like Brendan Rice, okay, but once again, not jumping off the page at me. One thing that we haven't done yet is take Devontae Walker in a mock draft. There are a lot of question marks around Devontae Walker, but man, what you can measure with that kid, he's through the roof. His ceiling is super high. Boomer bust, sort of. Kind of like Xavier Legette. I think Xavier Legette's a boomer bust guy, but I do feel like Xavier Legette's ceiling is higher than Devontae Walker, but Tez Walker does have a high ceiling. But just for the sake of being different, I'm going to take him in the second round. And he could definitely fill in that MVS role for sure. Hopefully he wouldn't just be another MVS, because there are a couple guys that are a little risky when you start thinking about it, as far as tall, fast wide receivers. We don't need another MVS on our hands. As long as I can catch the ball, we'll be all right. So here in the third round, it looks like that you have a couple of running backs on the board here that are very intriguing at this point in the draft. The fact that Trey Benson is on the board is kind of crazy to me. I think we have him at our RB1, unless we've changed it up. We also have Jonathan Brooks up there and Jalen Wright. Trey Benson still on the board at 95 would be pretty good value. And then you're looking at Bucky Irving. This is somebody the Chiefs already talked to. Bucky Irving's not going to impress you or wow you with RAS score or this and that and his measurables, his speed. But if you watch the tape, Bucky Irving is a beast. He's a football player. Either of those two could be a good pick right here. If we keep scrolling down, just look at some of the other stuff. We're talking about maybe looking at tackle just to see if anybody's still hanging out. It looks like to me that the guy that I was kind of wanting to look at, which was Walter Rouse, I think is still available. And it looks like they have him ranked at 171 here on PFF. So it looks like we can take our time on that. So once again, for the sake of being different, not taking the same people every time we do a mock draft, just kind of, look at different scenarios. Trey Benson being here is an absolute steal. I would want to lean towards Bucky Irving if I was trying to do what I thought the Chiefs might do, because they have set up an interview with Bucky Irving. They've talked to him before, but Trey Benson's so good. I'm going to take him right here in the third round. I feel like if he's available there, that's a steal. Go ahead and take him. So far in this draft, we've kind of just taken guys based off of, value. Like, they're just really good value that fell to us, best player available sort of thing. And I like that. I think the Chiefs are in a position to where they can do that quite a bit. Because there's nothing that they really have to have. A lot of people say wide receiver and tackle, but there are scenarios where they don't have to have those. Maybe they're big on, our tackle from last year that we drafted, Wanya Morris. Maybe they're sold on him starting at left tackle. So maybe they're not like just dying to have a tackle early. Maybe they think after getting Marquise Brown that we're okay at receiver. We don't have to take one of those early. So I think there are a lot of scenarios where the Chiefs can't afford to just take best player available. So this might not be far off from what's going on here. Right here at pick 131 in round 4, it looks like we have Cole Bishop at the top here. The safety from Utah, I love Cole Bishop. His RAS scores off the charts, just super athletic. A lot of people love Muhammad Kamara, the edge from Colorado State. And then I see Ben Sinnott here. Ben Sinnott has been rising up the boards. There is no way Ben Sinnott would be available at round 4, pick 31. I just don't see it in any world at this point. There for a while, we had him at probably tight end 3 to tight end 4, but we've actually put him up above Jatavion Sanders. He's actually our tight end 2 in this entire draft, and here he is available at pick 131. So I'm going to go ahead and snag him because that definitely fills a need. And Ben Sinnott's just super athletic. He can do a lot of different things. Good blocker. I think he'd be a great person to sit in behind Travis Kelce for a few years and develop. And then you kind of have your pick from him or Noah Gray, who's also been developing in behind Travis Kelce. So it definitely leaves us in a good position at tight end when Kelce does decide to retire. So moving on, pick 159 in the 5th round here. It looks like so far we've managed to grab a defensive tackle, a running back, and of course a wide receiver, and just took the tight end there. So we've kind of took a little bit of everything off the board that we really need to look at, right? Except for one thing, tackle. We still have not got the tackle depth that we need. And also inside offensive linemen, we need any kind of depth at offensive line, to be quite honest about it. So any kind of good value you can get on an offensive lineman, I think the Chiefs will be looking for that in this draft. But speaking of, let's take a look at tackle here. Walter Rouse is still on the board at pick 159 here. They got him ranked at 171. That's kind of the guy we were eyeballing to get a late guy, since we've kind of let the cream of the crop go. We decided to go with Johnny Newton early, and it kind of that kind of dampers your plans of getting a tackle unless you trade up in the 2nd round and maybe try to snag like a Kingsley Suamataia or a Patrick Paul or something of that sort. But of course we weren't doing trades, so this is how it went. Walter Rouse still available here. Let's take a quick look at the guards too, just to see if anybody has fallen, because so far there's been a lot of big names falling here on PFF, so I just want to make sure we're not missing anyone good. Kind of a fan of Bortolini at center and Layden Robinson at guard, but nothing really intriguing me enough to take the pick here. I think what I will do is go ahead and take our tackle. That's who we had our eye on. We don't want to lose him. We could probably wait till pick 173, but we don't want to chance it here. We've done passed on tackle enough, so we'll go ahead and get a little bit of depth there. And at this point, I think we're literally just looking at best player available situation. Like at this point in the draft, like what kind of good value can we get? Are there any my guys down through here that we like? Something of that nature, because you're getting this late in the draft at pick 173. We only got 2 picks left. So, I mean, you can kind of just take your pick. Like I said, either a my guy or just best player available. I think that there's a possibility the Chiefs could double down on wide receiver in this draft. It's a good wide receiver draft. And the Chiefs, obviously, they don't have to have a bunch of wide receivers. They have a lot of depth there, but there's a lot of question marks. People don't know what's going on with Sky Moore. Obviously, he's not going anywhere. He's on his rookie contract. Same with Kadarius Toney. And I do feel like both of those players have the potential to be an asset to the Chiefs and to contribute on the offensive side of the ball. It just depends on how you use the guys. And then, of course, with Kadarius Toney, what kind of mental state is he in? Is he still having the yips that he had last year? Has he got everything straight? I mean, there's a lot of different questions there. And then you got to think about how many wide receivers are they actually going to take on this 53-man roster this year? Because usually Andy takes 5. 6 is a little extra. Last year he took 7. I highly doubt they're going to take 7 again. I think they're going to be around 6. So if you're looking at Marquise Brown and Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, you still have Justin Watson. You have Justin Ross to make a decision on. You have Nico Remigio, who could come back off of his injury. He looked promising last year in training camp. And then we've already took Devontae Walker in this draft. You're going to have a lot of wide receivers competing for those spots. But I'm not opposed to that. I feel like, you can't just go getting rid of Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney right now. Too high of a ceiling, way too high of a ceiling to just let go on a rookie contract. So I think you let these guys battle it out. Let them compete. Who's going to contribute? Who's not? Can you use these guys a certain way? Can they do a lot of different things? There's a lot of different things that are going to go into how this receiver room shapes up for this year. But the thing about it is we're already in a better situation than we were last season. and we won a Super Bowl last season. So nothing to be worried about. Anthony Gold, right here. They have him ranked 197. This is somebody that the Chiefs have talked to. He's a little guy. He's like 5'8". I don't remember his weight, but he's very tiny, but super fast. Like the prototypical Andy Reid, Brett Veach wide receiver. So I think they could definitely be looking at Anthony Gold. Would they double up on wide receiver in the draft? Like I said, it's possible. I don't think they will, but it is possible that they do that. But just taking a look here at some other players, Joshua Cephas, wide receiver from UTSA. This is another kid that's just a great athlete, and the Chiefs have talked to him as well. So both guys, I think we might be able to pull one of those two at pick 221. We maybe not, but we can take our chances there if we see a player up here that we'd rather take a stab at. The most intriguing pick to me at this point, if I'm not talking about those guys that have already visited with the Chiefs, safety Malik Mustafa from Wake Forest here. I think they could still be looking to pad up the defensive back room. I mean, we do have a lot of depth there, but the Chiefs love drafting defensive backs. They love getting them in the late rounds. They develop them well. I mean, this is a guy that the Chiefs could develop and work, have him for a future play. So just for the sake of being different, like I've said 3 times in this video already, let's go ahead and take Malik Mustafa here, and we'll just get the defensive back. It would not surprise me if Brett Veach don't go either safety or cornerback, something like that in the later rounds of the draft. And that's going to leave us to our last pick at 221. I want to see if either of those guys hung out that I thought were going to as far as the receivers go, but it doesn't look like they did. But this right here, I'm not going to pass on this because this is absolutely insane that he's available at this juncture. PFF is definitely on some things sometimes, but they got Trevin Wallace right here, pick 221. They have him ranked 246. That's insane. Trevin Wallace is an insanely athletic linebacker. A bit of a homer for Kentucky, obviously, but that's just ridiculous value at the last pick that we get in the draft. I think we can't pass on him. I want to double check on those wide receivers just real quick, but I think they both left because we were looking at Anthony Gold and Joshua Cephas. They're both gone. I think this is a no-brainer here anyway, so we're going to go ahead and take Trevin Wallace, linebacker from Kentucky. Well, I think this draft is a little bit different than what we've been doing. So it's kind of cool to see a little bit different angle of things. We'll see what PFF thought about it. I'm sure they'll have some great thoughts. But here's what they had to say. A+ for Johnny Newton in the first round. Obviously, if you get Johnny Newton at pick 32 and it's anything but an A+, they would be crazy. Devontae Walker in the second round, they gave us a B. The reason why they gave us a B is because they say up here that we could have got Marshawn Nealon. That he would have been a better pick than Devontae Walker. We discussed Marshawn Nealon. Is he a better pick than Devontae Walker? He might be a safer pick, but he might not be either. I'm not like the hugest Marshawn Nealon fan, but he's a solid player. But a B for Devontae Walker, a B for Trey Benson. A C+ on Ben Sinnott seems a little crazy. I feel like, especially at round 4, like just the value there, that's probably an A pick. Walter Rouse, they gave us a B-. Malik Mustafa, a B. And then Trevin Wallace, the C-, which is crazy too, because at that juncture in the draft, if you grab someone like Trevin Wallace, that's definitely an A as well. But it looks like overall, they still decided to give us an A. We got the A-, but they gave us an A. But not a bad draft. And like I said, this is a little bit different than what you've been seeing. The only names you really keep seeing thrown out to the Chiefs that are on this draft is probably Ben Sinnott. So this is a little bit different look at how things could go. But I appreciate you guys being here with me today. Make sure to get in the comments. Let us know what you think about this draft right here. If you would like any of these guys, if you hate any of these guys, we'd like to see your all's perspective on things and get your opinion on things as well. And we'll be back later with more mock drafts, more draft talk for sure. But that'll be it for the day. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and go Chiefs.